Hey, John,
Yeah, Kathy.
you feel like going to a safari?
Safari. That sounds great. When can we go?
Tomorrow?
Perfect.
The Malibu Wine Safari is a beautiful 10-minute drive from our home in the Santa Monica Mountains. So we set off at 9:15 to arrive nerdishly early for our adventure. We checked in and filled out the waivers before walking around and waiting for our tour to begin. We booked a Wednesday morning tour, hoping for a small group so we could spend more time with the animals, and the morning spots seemed to have the most openings. However, as time drew closer, we realized the group was only 2 people short of being full. It was an open-air converted 4x4 vehicle that sat 4 across with 5 rows that were placed stadium style with increasing height from front to back. During booking, we decided to pay the additional $30 per person that included visiting Stanley the Giraffe. Right at 10 a.m., we boarded our bus and headed off. The first stop was to see Stanley. And if you aren't sure you want to spend the extra $30 to see Stanley, trust me, you do. He was the highlight of the tour for us. He's a retired movie giraffe who you might have seen in the opening scenes of The Hangover 3. And you'll be happy to know that he actually survived. Stanley is very sweet and gentle, and it's hard to describe just how amazing it is to get so up close and personal to this magnificent animal. The tour guides provided romaine lettuce to feed Stanley. We each took turns feeding him. Afterwards, each group was able to stand in front of him for photos. We were especially lucky since Stanley decided he wanted to snuggle, and he moved in very close to us. He actually bumped into John so he would pet him, which John gladly obliged. This would have been the stuff of nightmares anywhere else, but here it became a lifelong memory for us. After our visit with Stanley, we went to our first wine stop of the tour. They pulled into a beautiful park-like area complete with donkeys and alpacas, a lake, and a beautiful waterfall. We got to sample the first 3 of our 6 wines on the tour. They were white, and we began with a Brut sparkling wine, then a Sauvignon Blanc, and finished with a sweeter Moscato. Once everyone had a taste, we were able to revisit our favorites, and we enjoyed the Sauvignon Blanc the most. Once we all had an opportunity to revisit wines we particularly enjoyed, we got back onto the bus with wine in hand and went to the next location. Here we saw more alpacas, yaks, donkeys, zebras, llamas, and water buffaloes. We got off the bus and were able to feed the llamas, who were very friendly. We were given pellets, and they came up and ate them right from our hands. We discovered that llamas have the softest lips and were quite receptive to selfies. We then headed over to the zebras, yaks, and water buffaloes. We did not feed the water buffaloes as they had young with them and the owners wanted to give them their space, which we were fine with. The zebras and yaks, while just as friendly, are not quite as gentle, and we were instructed to hand them the lettuce and then pull our hands back like we were putting in an ATM card. It was actually quite easy, and it was interesting to see how they ate from such a close range. It was then time to head to our next stop and taste the 3 final wines. We pulled up to a bluff that they call the Frame, which was aptly named due to the large yellow frame that drew the eye to a spectacular view of Conejo Valley in the distance and right above Lobo Canyon. Here we sampled a Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a Sangiovese. All of them were on the lighter side, and they told us that that was primarily due to how warm it can get in this area and that guests don't really want heavy red wines. Our visit was in April, so the weather was comfortable, reaching just over 80 while we were there. But if you are visiting in the summer, be prepared. It's going to be quite hot. After we all revisited our favorite wines, and John and I liked the Sangiovese the best, we boarded the bus to head back to the parking lot. We wove through the vineyards, and the guides regaled us with some history of the property. We arrived back to the parking lot and headed home. The overall experience was far better than we had originally imagined, even if it wasn't quite like an African safari. We had some decent wines, saw beautiful landscape, and visited with friendly animals that were very social. It is definitely something fun to do, and we highly recommend it for anyone over the minimum age of 21 years old. Even though our group was almost full, everything was comfortable and well run. We never felt rushed or cramped, and we all had plenty of time with the animals. And we really do look forward to our next visit. If you have any additional helpful comments about the Wine Safari, please leave them in the notes below so others can learn from your experience. If you like this content and would like to see more, please like and subscribe to this channel. If you have any requests for future reviews, please let us know. Thanks for watching.